Yay! Oh my goodness, that was
Hi.
so speedy. I don't know what to say.
Shocking.
I am speechless. When has that ever happened? Oh my goodness. Hello, 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 everyone. It is Fierce Female Friday, and we have an amazing guest. However, before we get to that, we've got some things we like to share. First is a request from you to let us know where you are watching us from. Are you home? Are you at the office? Are you on vacay? I know that there are so many people who are fully vaccinated now, and they are walking the streets and hopping on planes and stepping back into a new life that they are hopefully intentional in designing for themselves. So let us know what you have got going on. We have one big announcement in the Woman Up community, and that is that one of our cornerstone sponsor partners, Realogy. So that's the Cole Banker, Better Homes and Gardens community. They have an amazing event coming up next week on May 11th. So Realogy, as we all know, is the CEO is now Sue Yannicone. First woman to ever be the chief executive officer of Realogy. She actually launched the What Moves Her program alongside Carla Hayes. Remember that back in the day? Carla is now on to green pastures outside of the real estate industry. However, Sue has fierce focus on helping the females inside the entire Realogy community now. So they have expanded What Moves Her, and they have Sue Yannicone and Tanya Runorvez, who we have interviewed here on the show as well. They are bringing in a dynamic, diverse panel of people. My goodness, we will drop the link in, but there are women from all walks of life. They are running national programs that hit all of the diversity groups inside real estate. So please, 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 you can join them at whatmovesher.com, or we'll drop the Zoom link in so you can directly register for that. It is free. Thank you so much, Sue. The only other thing that I'm going to tease a little bit is the infamous, now famous, Coffee and Conversations with Leslie that we hosted on Wednesday. Now, I know that so many of you worked to attend it on the Facebook group, but Facebook had issues. So we did record it. It is on the group. We'll drop the link in so that you can all see it. And I'll let Leslie talk about that when she shares what's on her mind. Before we go to that, though, Sarah, what's happening in CAR land?
Well, I know several of you were on our broker call this morning that went into the afternoon. And for those of you who weren't, we are actively looking to change our guidance on open houses. I repeat, we are going to be changing our guidance on open houses. So I know you all have been dying for this. I know it, as Deborah said, we are vaccinated. We are getting into very, very low numbers. Thank the Lord. Of cases. And so it's only appropriate that open houses can start to happen under the guidance of a gathering. So look out for that. If you're in California, we will be able to send you new guidance, hopefully in the next today or the next day. So that's coming. And also along with that, the cleaning guidelines that will be changing and shifting a little bit to a more palatable level as well. So that's my update for today. And I'm going to pass it to Leslie to see what's on your mind.
Hi, everybody. A very grateful heart for all of the wonderful feedback I received after Coffee and Conversations on Wednesday. And I want to thank Sarah and Deborah for being so supportive of me bringing a man into the Woman Up platform. But David Stark from the Bay East Association, who was the kind of genesis of my aha moment about what active listening looks like and why it's important, was my guest, and he did not disappoint. He was just magnificent, and I love this guy, and he's he's a woman upper to the core. So there, I know they've put in the chat the link to that, And so I encourage everybody to listen. I also want to they're just grateful for this industry. I noted this morning that Fannie Mae's Home Purchase Sentiment Index came out for April, and it actually declined. And it declined not on the seller side because the seller home selling, conditions are so great and sellers are ecstatic, but on the buy side, it's really tough, and that part of the index drops. So just a tremendous amount of compassion for all the buyers out there who are in this situation where, how much is it worth, and how much over list do I have to bid? And it's a really tough time. And I know we've all been talking about it, but for it to show up in such a stark way, and to see the home buying conditions part of the index go negative for the first time in the history of the index, right, was pretty stunning. So anyway, grateful heart for so many reasons this morning. And I'm so excited to hear what Pam has to say about her brokerage.
Love it. First time negative in the history of the index.
In 10 years, yes.
I mean, I feel like there's been, in the last 16 months, we've had so many firsts that none of us ever imagined we would be having.
Right.
I mean, my goodness, I'm so thankful we have each other to go through this with, and to link arms. And speaking of, our guest today is one that, now, if you attended the last in-person annual conference that we hosted in 2019 in San Diego, you may have met Pam in person. She shared a slice of her story from the main stage there. And then if you attended the virtual conference that we hosted on our own private island, you may have attended her beach yoga. And today, Pam, who is, of course, the broker owner of YogaBug Real Estate, is going to share her story with us. Now, since 2004, Pam has been weaving together her East Coast drive with a West Coast vibe. Come on now. Creating a real estate culture grounded in authenticity, straightforwardness, expertise, and intuition. After years of serving Portland's yoga community through real estate, as well as teaching yoga, Pam took the plunge and branded herself as YogaBug Real Estate in 2011. In 2019, she took it to the next step, opening her own brokerage and moving her YogaBug office into a delightful vintage Shasta Airflyte trailer, the cutest real estate office in the country, and where she is coming to us live. Pam approaches the real estate transaction from a holistic viewpoint in which mind, body, and spirit of her clients bear equal weight. She's an active participant in a real estate community, holding positions on local committees, supports her yoga community through sponsoring nonprofits and teaching, and finds great joy in raising money for local dog shelters yearly through her Portland Dog Bonanza event. When not with a client or on her mat, you will find Pam hiking mountains, surfing, gardening, and creating in the kitchen, an art studio with her husband and 2 dogs in tow. If you follow this woman on Instagram, you have seen every single one of those things come to life in pictures. Welcome, 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 Pam. Holy smokes.
Oh,
Woo!
thank you. What an honor to be here.
We are so happy to have you. Oh my
Yay.
goodness. What I loved is that when you were putting your bio together for the show, you were like, I feel so inspired. I feel so inspired. This was so much fun going kind of down a memory lane, writing the bio. So I'd actually really love for you to share the process that you went through to get us your bio, because so many have a hard time putting that together. So what was so inspiring about the process for you?
It was such an incredible opportunity for reflection. And I've told my YogaBug story in many forms over the years, but for some reason, I guess since I opened the brokerage, in 2019, I haven't really told it since. And so much has happened since that moment in October 2019 that bringing it all together was powerful. I felt like I was just walking through moment of the thought process, the struggles, the victories, the support, the moments in time of acknowledgement, the moments in time where I had doubt, and to see it all strung together to bring me to where I'm at today was it was pretty overwhelming, actually. And it also helped me to appreciate what has just happened in the last year and a half since YogaBug became its own brokerage. I mean, so for me, it was a deep contemplation is what it was. And it just kept evolving. I'd be working on something and all of a sudden a new piece would drop in. And then I'd be in the kitchen and another piece would drop in. And it literally kept happening until this morning. And what I realized is that, especially when I was thinking about what has happened since YogaBug became its own brokerage, is that there was no way that I could separate YogaBug becoming its own brokerage and COVID-19 and the Black Lives Matters movement and the wildfires in Oregon and the election and the ice storm. It's been an intense time. Yeah, it has. So that's been my process since you reached out to me.
Well, and the theme of inspiration was showing up in even in all of our emails back and forth. So let's dive in and hear what inspired you to go out on your own in 2019. You started under this name in 2011, but 8 years you were at another brokerage. So tell us that story.
Yes. So in 2019, I had been envisioning YogaBug Real Estate as an independent brokerage for years. And it had evolved in my imagination to a point where I literally had a blueprint of what that brokerage office would look like. I mean, in a lot of detail. But I know myself. And I've had many experiences in my life where I envisioned things very clearly. And I've come to learn through patience and trusting myself that sometimes I need to actualize those particular visions. And sometimes they actually resolve themselves just by myself envisioning them. And I don't have to put that energy into them. And I actually need to go in a different pathway. So I was being patient and yet ready. I thought if the opportunity presents itself, I'm ready for this to happen. I've built my brand. I've created all the framework that I need to take this brokerage on its own. And then in 2019, Women Up invited me to speak at your conference, which I was just elated about. I mean, it was just a dream for me when you reached out to me. And the topic was authenticity, owning your brand. And so I was literally, I know, I'm like, this is amazing. So I was literally filling out the questionnaire and you had to write your company, right? And I wrote YogaBug Real Estate and I literally could not finish it. I cannot do this. That was the moment. That was it. And in 12 days, not having any idea what I was doing, I opened my own brokerage. And by the time I got to the Women Up platform, I was the principal broker of YogaBug Real Estate. That's how it happened.
Oh, I feel like I want to bawl my eyes out.
Wow.
Wow. The divine knocking at your door. I cannot continue this conversation. I cannot fill out this form. I love that.
One more little important piece was, so I had the image of the storefront, right? So I called up my friend Bill Jackson, who's a commercial real estate agent. I said, hey, Bill, I'm thinking about this. Like, what's the climate like? If I want to get into this, we had this conversation. And simultaneously, I was working with one of my past clients to sell her home. She was moving across country and she owned this Shasta Airflyte trailer. And she said, Pam, she has a disabled daughter, Lily. And this was like her and Lily's thing that they could do together was they went to the beach in this trailer. And she said, Pam, the trailer means so much to me. And I really don't want to sell it, but I don't feel comfortable traveling across the United States with Lily and the dog in a trailer. And I said, well, Lisa, you know, whatever's meant to be will be. And so my bedroom's like right up there. And one morning I woke up and I looked out into my driveway and I saw the trailer sitting there in my imagination. And I'm like, that's it. That's my office. There it is. So I bought the trailer about 2 days before coming to Women Up. It's a true story.
This is the trailer you're sitting in right now, and this is your office.
This is my office.
Gorgeous.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, so that's really how the moment of it came down. So thank you for the support you didn't know you were giving me in that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So you started after being invited to Women Up. Can we just say that's amazing? What about the journey? Like, since opening YogaBug, how's the journey been? What are you up to now? Let's dive in there.
Yeah, thank you. So after Women Up, I just couldn't wait to get the word out to the world. I wanted to have my like big red ribbon across my driveway and have it cut and have the newspaper show up, the whole thing. I threw a big party for my clients, all that. And but I was also I wanted to time it correctly. Kind of the weather turned a little crappy when I got home from Women Up, and I did have the party, but I was waiting for the big reveal until spring when everything would look pretty. And in the meantime, I planned my entire 2020 around events, which is, I've always done a lot of marketing around community events, client events, and I was completely ready to go with my trailer. I was going to go out. I had all these ideas. And then in March 2020, the entire world shut down. And what I had thought my brokerage and this space was about was redefined in a very short period of time. Literally, I erased the entire whiteboard. Everything that I had planned was not possible anymore. I did get some clients in my trailer and had amazing experiences with them and had some wellness events earlier that year, but it was really short-lived. And I was kind of left with sitting with myself. And so what I thought would be this incredibly outward year turned into a very inward time for myself quickly. And I had to redefine what the purpose of what I was doing was, how it would look. And I also felt a lot of uncertainty about the future because I'd been through the Great Recession and I didn't know what all this would mean. So I took it was about a 3-week pause, I would say, in March. I was still doing business, of course, but it was about a 3-week pause. And I was watching my friends start to take events online eventually and do podcasts and take everything that you would do in person, but do it virtually. And I thought, and people were encouraging me to do that, but for some reason, I wasn't resonating with that inside. And I've just, again, I know myself. And despite what other people were doing, I decided I was going to pretty much go analog. So I went back to baking cookies, hand delivering them to my clients. I called all my clients. I called all my friends. I went back to years and years ago is what I did. And I also had the realization that what I had created in YogaBug was for the community, was for my clients. But first and foremost, it was actually for me. And this was my time to actually accept that, feel it, take it in, let it transform me, so that when it's time to go back out into the world and do what I do, that it will be an entirely new experience. And I would say that that defines my last year. I am a completely different person. My business is completely different. Interestingly enough, even though I've seemingly gone backwards, I still do my newsletters. I have a strong presence online. My business has tripled in 1 year, interestingly enough. And I've cut back on staff. I've done all this cutting back, and yet it multiplied, which for me was an indication that I listened to my gut and I did what was right for me. And so So it's been nothing like what I thought it would look like. And, I probably have grown more in the last year than I have in the last 10 years. It's been an amazing journey. It really has.
Pam, I want to ask you the official question I'm supposed to ask you right now, which is, what do you wish, you had known then that you know now? But I first just want to ask you, as you look back on the last 12 months, March, April, May, I mean, dead in the water. And then boom, and when you said you would tripled your business, I'm thinking, that probably is true for a lot of people. I mean, the real estate market now is just characterized, by tremendous demand and no supply. But how did that look like for you, as a new brokerage owner, from the kind of depths of despair to, I need more people, or there aren't enough hours in the day? I mean, how did you navigate that?
Good question, Leslie. I had I opened my brokerage in October of 2019, and in 2020 I let go of any staff that I had, and I reworked my company. I hired a new admin person and a new social media person, and I kept some of those people on. Interestingly enough, I kind of let go of my husband as my buyer's agent in this, not because he's not a great buyer's agent, but because he is 65 years old and I didn't want my husband to get sick. So I basically was doing 3 times as much business with fewer people, as you said. So thankfully, I have really good systems. I'm hyper organized, and I tend to be an extremely efficient person. And I'm sure that helped tremendously. The other thing that helped me is my dedication to taking care of myself. It didn't matter how many deals I had going on or what responsibilities I had. Every single week, if you've been watching me, every single week I leave. I take an entire day and I go to a mountain, and I don't just go to like a short hike. I drive between 2 to 4 hours, and I hike for 3 to 8 hours up to the top of a mountain, take a visit to the mountain, and come back. And as much as some people might think that's an exhausting experience, for me, I completely unplugged every single week. So although we couldn't go on vacation, I went on vacation every week. And I'd say my commitment to my health, my commitment to I don't work after 7 p.m. ever at night. I'm in bed by 9 p.m. every single night. I shut off my phone. I don't have my phone on during meals. The whole yoga part of my business is who I am. I do live that life. And I think that makes me a more efficient, present person, hopefully, for my business.
I just kept thinking, wow, healthy boundaries. You are the poster child for healthy boundaries. So let me just go back to the question about, so looking back, what do you wish you had known a year ago that you know now?
Yeah. I do wish that at some point, and I mentioned this, that somebody would have said to me, Pam, to open your own brokerage can look any way you want it to. I do think that I fell into the trap for years to some degree, that if I opened my own brokerage, I would have to have this storefront. I would have to hire so many brokers in order to be successful. And that this is what a successful brokerage looks like. And I just didn't realize it until I kind of stepped into it, that really it can be absolutely anything that you want it to be. And it should be what you want it to be. It should be completely reflect of you. And in that, it will be successful. And I just honestly have never had anybody say that to me or really necessarily show it kind of the way that I live it. I tend to be a little extreme on those fronts. So yeah, that would have been helpful.
Well, it's certainly a lesson you've learned well.
I would agree with that. I think that's so beautiful. Well, and I remember when we kind of put out the word for stories around authenticity. And Stephanie Chumbley is the one who connected us to you. And she was like, oh, Pam, hands down, you have got to talk to this woman, get her story, get her story. And so it's not only in your office / adorable trailer or your home, it's exudes from you, right? So people who aren't even your clients, someone like Stephanie who serves the industry sees it, right? She sees that in you, and you were the first person that popped to her mind when we said the word authentic, and somebody who really has woven themselves into their brand. So congratulations to you on that. That is not an easy achievement, especially in this business where we really do like everything, right? When there's any kind of media involved, there's always this ultimate that we're all supposed to go for, right? And I love that you've cracked that open and said, yeah, not for me. And you're showing us this new way. You've shared, of course, some lessons you've learned along the way. However, I'd love to know what your favorite lesson has been, right? What's that one that was just like bubbles to the top, and you feel like you have to tell everyone who's getting ready to start a brokerage, I got this great lesson for you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I'd say the biggest lesson, at least early on, was, and I mentioned this in my bio, I think, I as an agent, I was always a top producing successful agent. I'm a very driven person. I just inherently am that way. But I kept feeling like I was coming against the ceiling. Like I couldn't, like, what is that? What's that thing that I keep hitting against? And it was really uncomfortable. And honestly, I had it for years. And I thought, well, maybe if I do this, the ceiling will go away. Maybe if I sell this much, the ceiling will go away. Maybe if I, whatever, the ceiling will go away. And it never went away. And it was because I didn't understand what the ceiling was. And when I came back from Women Up and I came into this space that I was in the process of creating, the ceiling evaporated. Because what the ceiling was the stress of not being able to completely actualize my vision, who I was, who I wanted to be. That was stressing me in a way that I had absolutely no cognitive awareness of. And so the biggest lesson for me was as a brokerage owner and an independent person was the ability and the power to create exactly what you want, and to even more importantly surround myself with the exact people that I want to spend my time with. And the brokerages I've been at, I've been so blessed to be around a lot of really wonderful people. There are so many amazing people in this industry. But I decided that I wanted to be, and it was really important for me to be extremely intentional about who I spent my time with, because we all have very little time, right? We all have limited energy, regardless of how energetic we are. And it's really important to spend time with the people who support us, that inspire us, and that feed that energy. So that's my big takeaway. My biggest takeaway. I love
that. Well, Sarah and I were texting back and forth earlier just a couple of days ago. It feels like almost a week ago, but we were texting back and forth about this New York Times article that was "The Other Side of Languishing is Flourishing." And the woman who wrote it basically gives 7 steps to help get you towards thriving again. And as you're talking, we'll drop a link in to this post because it's so good. But as you're talking, I'm like, you are a great living example of the advice that she gives. And some of I pulled it up real quick. So assessing yourself, savoring and celebrating the small things, try Sunday dinner gratitudes, do 5 good deeds, look for communities and connection, find purpose in everyday routines. I mean, this sounds like you, Pam. And I love that, when we've said this so many times in our community, when we see something as possible, those who are looking for that inspiration can see it in us and believe that they can do it themselves. So I really want to honor the fact that you are really opening yourself up and sharing that these things are possible, and that you are living, walking, breathing vacation taking once a weeking proof of it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Go for it.
Oh my gosh, Pam, and I will say I loved your share about the vacationing every week. And I'm curious to know if you went by yourself, if you had a partner that went with you, like what did that look like?
Yeah. I did the majority of the time have a partner, and I have a friend who I met. She was my yoga student. I was his first yoga teacher, and he got retired and pretty much hikes and does for his. So he has pretty much become my COVID buddy, and he's key. And he just, yeah. So I'm extremely grateful for him. He organizes everything, and I show up very willing, is the truth of it. And I need that in my life. I'm pretty much, yeah,
Yeah.
and he's happy to do it, and he's happy I'm there. And we always say, thank you for doing, thank you for every time, every week. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this. This was so fun. Yeah, I have gone by myself a couple times, and when he couldn't make it. And I have to say that was, of course, a blessing too, in that the silence during those long hours on the trail. It was just very grounding. And I take my dog with me too, and she's great company. So yeah, again, finding somebody that supports what you need in the time. He's definitely been that for me.
I love that. And selfishly, I was asking because I had been throughout the pandemic, working, talking like 14 hours a day and dealing with kids' remote work. And so I think all I wanted to do on the weekends was not talk to anyone. If I had to talk to another parent or, I don't know, it was hard. Like it's hard to muster up the energy. So I was personally curious. But I'm also curious to know what's next for you and YogaBug. We've seen the journey, and now we'd love to see your intentional growth trajectory.
Yeah. I have to say I'm not completely, and I'm also gratefully not completely aware of what's next for YogaBug.
Fair
Look
enough.
what happened in the last year.
Fair.
I'm a little less confident to jump into that answer. I am very aware of momentum. I have been aware of a momentum for a while, and obviously my business is growing rapidly to a point where I would like more people to be involved in it. And I do have my eye on someone. She's actually a yoga student of mine, interestingly enough. I didn't know she had a real estate license until I was showing some properties, and there she was doing this open house, adorable little thing. And then anyway, so I have my eye on growing the brokerage. I want to do it incredibly intentionally. And again, for me, who I spend my time with is really important. And obviously YogaBug is a very specific kind of brand and a very specific atmosphere in some ways. In other ways, I mean, I'm a real estate agent and broker like all others, it's both and. And so I'm patient. Patience, I'm definitely not lazy and I'm not slow, but I am patient. And I've found that patience has paid off for me over the years. And so I'm planning events again. And I'm not going to give up on my event planning. I'm really involved in the community, and I love to get back to the community. It brings me great joy. I mean, it really makes me happy. So I've missed that a lot.
I'm sure the dogs miss the bonanzas.
My God.
That name is so good.
God. I mean, it is such a day of joy. It is completely ridiculous. And when we start out doing dog yoga, you know, it's a dog owner lookalike contest. It's crazy.
I think
It's
Lizzie
just,
and I might come down for that. I think we might
It
hop
is
in the
the-
car.
it's the best time ever. Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna have to wait till next year for that one. But anyway, I'm planning, and I am planning a yoga retreat for this year. And you know, so there'll be more of what was, but it will be, the thing is it will be different because I'm different and the world's different, right? We're all different. Yeah, we're all different. Yeah. I feel
Pam,
like there's,
I was just going to say, listening to you, you really are not that there's a typical real estate mentality, but whatever it is, you're not it, it's really just so calming to even just listen to you and to maintain that control and intentionality about everything you do in the real estate space. I mean, I am just in awe, really. I'm in awe.
thank you, Leslie.
We can
I'm
all
a very
use
blessed
help,
person.
Pam.
So, we have a few more minutes, and we'd like to know if there's anything that else you'd like to talk about, or, I don't want to forget to say this one thing or this 5 more things. We'd love to put a ball back in your court right now.
Thank you. I shared a little bit of what I was going to share, and every time I teach yoga, I end it with a reading. And I have found that to be, and what I do is I do these flash Gordons. So I have this book I read out of all the time. It's called The Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. And I just do what I call flash Gordons. So I open it up, and I always know that even though I might be reading thinking, what the heck, this doesn't seem like the right thing, it's always the right thing. So I have a flash Gordon for you. Okay. So the reading is called Pursue the Obstacle. Pursue the obstacle, it will set you free. When I came upon the mountain, I was in a hurry. I thought it would take too long. It would take too long to make my way around it. So I set out to break a path through it. Each rock and branch felt like a waste of time. If only the mountain weren't in the way. I cut my legs and arms as I rushed along, and it grew harder to breathe, and I lost all sense of direction. Now I had to climb high enough to see. Once I broke the tree line, something in me had to see the top. Then I hurried my way up, and strangely, as I worked the climb, step after step, I kept rising, but felt as though I were going nowhere. Finally, I broke the clouds. I had never seen sun on the top of clouds. I sat in a clearing on a cliff, and the light on top of my head like a cloud. Suddenly, reaching the top or getting beyond the mountain no longer seemed important. I liked it up here, and I felt that I could live on the mountain, but I had to return. I had to eat. I needed love. But now when someone asks me about breaking through what's in the way or being in a hurry, I look both ways and I say, pursue the obstacle. It will set you free. This story invites us to honor each obstacle as something flowing in its own right in the universal stream, to see ourselves and the obstacle as 2 limbs of the same tree drifting in the same river, bumping into each other and even blocking one another for a moment. Looking at obstacles this way, we are asked not to oppose what blocks us as something mounting its will against our will, for the obstacle will simply give our resistance back to us. We are being asked not to empower or perpetuate the life of the obstacle, but to step aside as if we can, with openness to the energy of the obstacle itself. Much like the ancient art of Aikido, where instead of blocking a punch, you help the punch move past you. All the while, we are invited to question that in us, which insists that what is before us is an obstacle in the first place. It may not be so, and it may be so. It may be something small that our history of struggle has enlarged into a tragedy or bad luck. So if we can, we must focus on our relationship to the stream and not to the things being carried along us. If something appears to be blocking our way, we must try to understand what is moving it and what is moving us. If our movement in the world is still blocked, perhaps we are meant to be still. We must try not to damage ourselves unnecessarily by trying to force a movement to happen before it's time.
Wow. 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 I would say that Flash Gordon was spot on.
Mhm.
Just as you promised. So
Mhm.
beautiful. I think that that's speaking into the mind, body, soul, and spirit of those who are watching, whether they're watching here on Zoom or on the group or the replay. That obstacle often is us, right? It's ourselves. We are an obstacle. Wow. You have definitely showed us what weaving your East Coast drive with your West Coast vibe truly looks like. And you could tell by the smiles on our faces and the oohs and ahs along the way. We are so blessed by you and your energy. I had an idea that we were going to have this kind of conversation, but this is like blown that idea out of the water. It has been such a wonderful hour together. I know that there's probably folks who are in the Zoom and in the Facebook chat that have questions for you. So we'll make sure to get those to you. We do have your website, but is there a Facebook or an Instagram account or something that you say, if you want to get to know me better, follow me here?
No, definitely. If you're a Facebooker, Facebook. If you're an Instagrammer, Instagram. It's YogaBug Real Estate. My Facebook is Pam Blair. I think that's better than the YogaBug, but my Instagram's YogaBug Real Estate. And I'm on there. And if you'd like to take a hike with me, I post it every week.
Yes, you do. And it's been so amazing to follow along. And I feel incredibly inspired to look at my schedule, shake things up. And I'm guessing that all of us do who are here with you today. So thank you again so much for joining us, Pam. Oh my goodness. To
Thank
those
you,
of you
Pam.
who are watching the replay, make sure to just drop your questions for Pam in. We'll be definitely including all of her links to connect with her in the comments. So reach out to her, get connected to her, and create a conversation, right? If you are attracted to this idea of living and breathing and infusing your authenticity into your business, this woman is your go-to as your guide. So until next week, everyone, we really, really, really are so grateful for your time and for your energy here with us today. We'll see you all
Thank
soon.
you.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
so much.
Pam.
Love you,
Appreciate
Pam.
you.